Galaxy far, far away, among the countless characters that populate the vast Star Wars universe, there is one who stands out. Not just for her deadly skills with a lightsaber, but also for her striking appearance and her deep connection to the dark side of the Force. She's fierce, she's ruthless, and she's got more tattoos than a Sith ink convention. Meet Darth Talon, the Twi'lek Sith Lord, who is as lethal as she is iconic. If you've ever delved into the rich tapestry of the Star Wars expanded universe, now known as Legends, you've probably encountered some pretty colorful characters. And by colorful, I mean bright red, with a penchant for making sure the Jedi Order has a very bad day. Darth Talon, the striking Twi'lek Sith Lord, is one of those characters. But she's not just a pretty face with a bad attitude. She's a symbol of the dark power that the Sith can wield, and her story is as fascinating as it is intense. So why should you care about Darth Talon? Well, first off, she's not your typical Sith Lord. While most Sith we see in the movies are menacing, cloaked figures with deep voices and a habit of throwing lightning bolts around, Talon brings a different kind of energy to the table. She's deadly, yes, but she's also cunning, seductive, and let's be honest, absolutely terrifying in a one-on-one fight. Plus, she's got that whole Sith with a twist thing going on. Did I mention the tattoos? Let's talk about those tattoos for a second. Darth Talon is covered head to toe in Sith tattoos, each one a mark of her dedication to the dark side. These aren't just for show, either. They're symbols of her allegiance, each one representing a step further into the abyss of the dark side. And if you think they look cool, well, you're not alone. Darth Talon's design has made her a fan favorite, with cosplayers, artists, and collectors all drawn to her striking appearance. But there's more to her than just a pretty design. Talon is a Twi'lek, a species known for their distinctive head tails, or leku, which are often seen as a sign of beauty among their kind. But in Talon's case, those leku are just another weapon in her arsenal. She uses her looks to deceive, to manipulate, and to destroy anyone who stands in her way. And believe me, there are a lot of people standing in her way, at least until she cuts them down. In the grand scheme of the Star Wars universe, Darth Talon plays a key role in the Star Wars Legacy comic series, set more than a century after the events of the original trilogy. Here, the galaxy is once again in turmoil, because when is it not? The Sith have returned, and they're more dangerous than ever, led by a new Dark Lord named Darth Krayt. Talon is one of his most trusted enforcers, serving as his hand, his assassin, and occasionally his right-hand woman when things get really dicey. But what makes Talon truly compelling is her unwavering loyalty to the Sith cause. She's not just in it for the power or the chaos, though she does enjoy a good lightsaber duel. No, Talon is a true believer in the Sith philosophy, seeing the dark side not just as a tool, but as a way of life. And that makes her not only dangerous, but also deeply fascinating as a character. So whether you're a diehard Star Wars fan or just someone who loves a good villain, Darth Talon has a story that's worth exploring. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to look at where it all began for her origins, her training, and how she became the deadly Sith Lord we know today. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Background and early life of Darth Talon. Before she became one of the galaxy's most feared Sith Lords, Darth Talon was molded by a life of harsh training, brutal discipline, and an unyielding commitment to the dark side. But every villain has an origin story, and Talon's is one forged in the fires of the Sith Order, and where only the strongest survive, or at least those with the best health insurance. Let's rewind to the beginning, on a planet far from the bustling centers of galactic power, in a place called Ryloth. Ryloth is the homeworld of the Twi'leks, a species known for their distinctive head tails, or leku, and vibrant skin tones ranging from pale blues and greens to fiery reds and oranges. It's a harsh world with a landscape dominated by arid deserts and treacherous canyons, a bit like a vacation spot that absolutely nobody asked for. Yet it's also a place of beauty and culture where the Twi'leks have thrived for generations. Darth Talon, however, wasn't exactly destined for a peaceful life of tea ceremonies and leku braiding. From an early age, she was handpicked by the Sith and whisked away from her home to be trained in the ways of the dark side. While her exact origins remain shrouded in mystery, one thing is crystal clear. Talon was always destined for a life of conflict. The Sith sensed a raw power within her, the kind of potential that, with the right and very painful training, could be shaped into something truly terrifying. Talon's early life was anything but a walk in the park, unless that park was filled with dangerous creatures and sadistic instructors. From the moment she entered the Sith Order, she was subjected to a rigorous training regimen designed to break her spirit and rebuild her as a weapon of the dark side. Her master, Darth Talon, wasn't exactly the nurturing type. Think less father figure, more drill sergeant with anger management issues. He pushed her to the brink of exhaustion and beyond. But Talon wasn't the type to break. She thrived under the harsh conditions, quickly rising through the ranks of Sith acolytes. Now, if you're picturing some kind of intense, heartwarming mentor-student relationship here, let's correct that. This is the Sith we're talking about. Darth Talon didn't exactly take a nurturing approach to Talon's education. His methods were more like, if you survive, you pass. If you don't, well, you probably weren't Sith material anyway. And Talon? She passed with flying colors, mostly red to be precise. Talon's first real test, a deadly trial of combat. One of Talon's earliest trials was a brutal test of her combat abilities. Armed with nothing but her wits and a training saber, because why make it easy? She was thrown into a no-holds-barred fight to the death against other acolytes. It was the classic Sith method of weeding out the weak, and Talon knew there was no room for mercy or hesitation. In that arena, she proved herself to be not just a survivor, but a predator. Her agility, combined with her growing mastery of the Force, allowed her to outmaneuver and overpower her opponents. By the end of the trial, the once naive Twi'lek was no more. In her place stood a warrior, one who had tasted blood and found it surprisingly to her liking. But the Sith weren't just interested in creating mindless killers. That's just a bonus. They valued cunning, strategy, and above all, loyalty to the dark side. Talon's next challenge would test these qualities to their limits. Darth Talon, ever the demanding master, tasked her with an assassination, her target, a rival Sith who had been growing a little too powerful for the Dark Council's liking. Second test, stalking a Sith Lord. This was no ordinary mission. The target was a seasoned Sith Lord with years of experience and a reputation for ruthlessness, kind of like the Sith version of a seasoned reality TV villain. But Talon didn't flinch. Using her natural stealth and the Force, she infiltrated the Sith Lord's stronghold, biding her time until the perfect moment to strike. It was here that her lethal precision and cold, calculating nature truly shone through. When she finally confronted her target, it wasn't with a reckless charge, but with a carefully planned ambush. The ensuing battle was swift and brutal. Talon's lightsaber flashed through the darkness, cutting down her opponent before they even had a chance to update their will. This successful assassination marked a turning point in Talon's life. Not only had she eliminated a dangerous rival, but she had also proven her absolute loyalty to the Sith. Darth Talon, satisfied with her performance, granted her the title of Sith Apprentice. But, as with all things Sith, this promotion came with a deadly catch. Final test. The betrayal of her master, Darth Talon. In the Sith Order, betrayal isn't just expected, it's practically in the job description. To truly ascend, Talon had to prove that she was not only strong, but also willing to do whatever it took to rise in power. And so, Darth Talon gave her one final command, to kill him. It might sound insane, but this was all part of the plan. The Sith believed that an apprentice must kill their master to fully embrace the dark side, symbolizing their total commitment to power above all else. Talon, who had been trained for this moment her entire life, didn't hesitate. In a confrontation that tested both her resolve and her combat skills, she struck down Darth Talon, taking his place as a full-fledged Sith Lord. Imagine Talon standing over her fallen master, her eyes burning with the power of the dark side, probably thinking, well, that escalated quickly. And just like that, the student became the master. Darth Talon had completed her training, proving herself not just as a skilled warrior, but as a true Sith, one who was willing to do whatever it took to claim her place in the galaxy. But her journey was far from over. With her master gone, Talon was now free to pursue her destiny in the service of the dark side, and that destiny would soon bring her face to face with one of the most powerful Sith Lords the galaxy had ever seen, Darth Krayt. Conclusion: Talon's rise to power. Darth Talon's early life was a crucible of pain, fear, and death, but it forged her into one of the deadliest Sith Lords of her time. As she steps into her new role, she's about to face challenges that will test her like never before. Join us as we continue her story, exploring her rise to power under the legendary Darth Krayt and the dark path she walked as one of his most trusted enforcers. Becoming a Sith Lord, Darth Talon's rise to power. With her master dead by her own hand, Darth Talon was no longer an apprentice. She had proven her worth to the Sith Order, but in the galaxy of the Sith, proving oneself is only the beginning. To truly rise in power, one must navigate the dangerous and treacherous world of Sith politics, where allies are few and enemies are everywhere. For Darth Talon, her rise to power would bring her into the orbit of one of the most powerful Sith Lords in history, Darth Krayt. Darth Krayt was no ordinary Sith Lord. Born as Asharad Het, a Jedi Knight during the Clone Wars, Krayt's journey to the dark side is a tale of betrayal, survival, and transformation. After the fall of the Republic, he wandered the galaxy, eventually succumbing to the dark side and founding the One Sith, a new Sith Order with a singular purpose: to rule the galaxy under the iron fist of the dark side. Unlike the Sith Orders of the past, where the rule of two dictated that there could only be a master and an apprentice, Krayt's vision was different. He sought to create an army of Sith, with himself as their undisputed leader. Among his most trusted followers was none other than Darth Talon. After killing her master, Darth Talon was summoned to Korriban, the ancient and sacred homeworld of the Sith, where she would swear allegiance to Darth Krayt. The journey to Korriban was fraught with danger, as the planet itself is a living testament to the dark side, with ancient tombs, deadly creatures, and the ever-present threat of betrayal from other Sith. But Talon was undeterred. She arrived at the Sith Temple, where she was brought before Darth Krayt. In that dark chamber, surrounded by the shadows of the ancient Sith, knelt before Krayt and pledged her loyalty. As part of her initiation, Krayt bestowed upon her full-body tattoos that marked her as one of his own, symbols of her absolute devotion to the dark side and to Krayt's vision of the future. These tattoos were more than just a sign of her allegiance. They were a constant reminder of her commitment, pain, and the power she wielded as a Sith. But this wasn't just a typical Sith initiation ceremony. No, Krayt had big plans for Talon. He saw in her not just a loyal follower, but a weapon, one that could be unleashed upon his enemies with devastating effect. Talon's first mission, under Darth Krayt, hunting down a traitor within the Sith ranks. Krayt wasted no time putting Talon's skills to the test. Her first mission as his hand was to hunt down and eliminate a traitor within the Sith ranks. This wasn't just any mission. It was a test of her loyalty, cunning, and ability to deal with treachery, a hallmark of Sith life. The traitor, a former Sith Lord who had dared to defy Krayt's rule, was hiding on the Outer Rim, far from the prying eyes of the Sith. But no matter how far he ran, there was no escaping Darth Talon. Using her skills in the dark side, Talon tracked the traitor across planets, infiltrating his hiding places and cutting down anyone who stood in her way. When she finally confronted him, the traitor tried to sway her with promises of power and freedom. But Talon was no fool. She knew the price of disloyalty, and she wasn't about to pay it. In a duel that showcased her deadly precision and mastery of the Force, Talon defeated the traitor, cutting him down without hesitation. But before delivering the final blow, she made sure he understood one thing. There is no escape from the will of Darth Krayt. With a swift strike of her lightsaber, the traitor was no more, and Talon had passed her first true test under Krayt's command. Darth Krayt acknowledges Talon's success and grants her more responsibilities. With this victory, Talon solidified her place as one of Darth Krayt's most trusted enforcers. Recognizing her potential, Krayt began to entrust her with more important missions, each designed to weaken the enemies of the Sith and further his plans for galactic domination. Talon became his go-to assassin, a shadow in the dark who could strike without warning and disappear just as quickly. But being Krayt's enforcer wasn't just about following orders. Talon was also a key player in the internal politics of the One Sith. As you might imagine, a group of Sith Lords all vying for power isn't exactly a recipe for a stable organization. In fact, it's more like a very deadly game of musical chairs, where the music is the sound of lightsabers clashing, and the chairs are the thrones of power everyone's fighting over. Talon navigates the treacherous politics within the One Sith. In this deadly game, Talon proved herself to be not just a skilled warrior, but also a cunning strategist. She knew how to navigate the dangerous waters of Sith politics, making alliances when necessary, and eliminating rivals when the opportunity arose. Her loyalty to Darth Krayt was unwavering, and in return, Krayt rewarded her with power and influence within the One Sith. One of the most significant battles during her early years under Krayt was the Battle of Ossus. Here, Talon played a crucial role in the Sith's assault on the Jedi Temple. Ossus was one of the last strongholds of the Jedi, and Krayt's forces, led by Talon and her fellow Sith Lords, launched a devastating attack to crush the remaining Jedi resistance. Talon, ever the fierce warrior, led the charge, cutting down Jedi defenders with ruthless efficiency. The Battle of Ossus. Talon in action against Jedi forces. During the battle, Talon faced off against several Jedi Knights, each of whom underestimated her at their peril. But Talon wasn't just about brute force. She used her knowledge of the Force to outmaneuver her opponents, creating openings for deadly strikes. Her combination of speed, agility, and sheer power made her a force to be reckoned with. And by the end of the battle, the Jedi Temple lay in ruins, with Talon standing victorious among the wreckage. This victory further cemented her reputation within the One Sith as one of Krayt's most lethal agents. But it wasn't just about winning battles. Talon's influence within the Sith continued to grow as she took on more missions, each one furthering Krayt's grand plan. She was more than just a warrior. She was a symbol of the Sith's strength, a living embodiment of the dark side's power. The next phase of Talon's story, her role in the Sith's plans and encounters with key characters, like Cade Skywalker. As Talon continued to rise in power, new challenges awaited her. The galaxy was vast, and the Sith's enemies were many. One such enemy was a man who would become her greatest challenge, Cade Skywalker, a descendant of the legendary Skywalker lineage. As the Sith's plans unfolded, Talon would find herself drawn into a conflict that would test her like never before, as she faced not just the Jedi, but also the powerful legacy of the Skywalker family. Darth Talon had proven herself time and again, but in the shadowy world of the Sith, there's always another test, another enemy to defeat, and another step to take toward ultimate power. Stay with us as we explore Talon's role in the Sith's grand plan and her fateful encounters with Cade Skywalker, a meeting that would shake the galaxy to its core. Powers and abilities of Darth Talon. In the galaxy of Star Wars, the Sith are known for their mastery of the dark side of the Force, wielding powers that can bend the very fabric of reality to their will. But among them, few have mastered these dark arts as completely as Darth Talon. From her formidable lightsaber skills to her terrifying command of the Force, Talon is a living weapon forged in the fires of the dark side. But what exactly makes her so deadly? Let's start with the most obvious weapon in Talon's arsenal, her lightsaber. Wielding a crimson blade that is as much a symbol of her allegiance as it is a tool of destruction, Talon is a master of lightsaber combat. Her preferred fighting style is a blend of agility and precision, allowing her to strike quickly and lethally. Unlike the more brute force approach of some Sith Lords, Talon's technique emphasizes speed and finesse, making her a formidable opponent in any duel. Talon is highly proficient in Form 4 Ataru, the acrobatic and aggressive lightsaber form that allows for swift, powerful attacks combined with force-enhanced movements. Ataru is all about dynamic motion, utilizing flips, spins, and leaps to overwhelm opponents. It's a style that suits Talon perfectly. Her agility and physical conditioning are unmatched, allowing her to dart around the battlefield like a deadly shadow. In battle, Talon's use of Ataru makes her an incredibly difficult target to pin down. She's always on the move, striking from unexpected angles and using her surroundings to her advantage. Whether she's taking on a single opponent or an entire squad, Talon's mastery of this form ensures that she is always in control of the fight. But she's not just about flashy moves. Talon's precision with her lightsaber means that each strike is calculated, aimed at finding and exploiting any weakness in her opponent's defense. But as impressive as her lightsaber skills are, It's Talon's command of the Force that truly sets her apart as a Sith Lord. The dark side is a source of immense power, and Talon has tapped into this wellspring with devastating effect. One of Talon's signature abilities is Force Lightning, a classic Sith power that channels the dark side into searing bolts of electricity. Talon's use of Force Lightning is both a tool of torture and a weapon of war. In combat, she can unleash this power to incapacitate or outright destroy her enemies, frying them with dark energy that leaves nothing but charred remains in its wake. But Talon doesn't just use Force Lightning to kill. She can also use it to weaken and subdue her foes, leaving them vulnerable to a final, lethal blow. Talon is also highly skilled in telekinesis, another staple of Force users, but one that she has honed to deadly perfection. With a mere thought, she can hurl objects at her enemies, disarm opponents, or even crush them under the weight of her power. In combat, Talon often uses telekinesis to control the battlefield, manipulating her surroundings to create chaos and confusion among her enemies. Whether it's ripping weapons from the hands of her foes or hurling debris as improvised missiles, her mastery of telekinesis gives her a significant advantage in any fight. But the Force isn't just about raw power. It's also about control, and this is where Talon's skills in mind trick and Force persuasion come into play. These abilities allow her to bend the will of others, making them act in ways that suit her purposes. While many Jedi use these powers to avoid conflict, Talon uses them to create opportunities for manipulation and deceit. She can make an enemy reveal secrets, turn allies against each other, or even compel someone to walk straight into a trap. It's a subtle but powerful tool, one that makes Talon as dangerous off the battlefield as she is on it. But with all this power comes a price. The dark side is not a gentle teacher, and for all her strength, Talon is not immune to its toll. The intense emotions that fuel her power, anger, hatred, fear, can also be her greatest weakness. The dark side feeds on these emotions, driving Talon to greater and greater acts of violence, but also threatening to consume her from within. It's a constant struggle, one that all Sith must face, to wield the dark side without being destroyed by it. This struggle is reflected in Talon's personality and her approach to combat. She is ruthless and efficient, but also deeply driven by her emotions. When she fights, it's not just with skill, but with the raw fury of the dark side behind every strike. This makes her incredibly dangerous, but also vulnerable. If her emotions are turned against her, it could lead to her downfall. So what are Talon's strengths? Well, for one, her physical prowess is unmatched. Her training in Ataru makes her a lightning-fast combatant, capable of overwhelming most opponents with sheer speed and precision. Her mastery of the Force adds a layer of unpredictability to her fighting style. Whether she's using Force Lightning to scorch her enemies or telekinesis to control the battlefield, Talon is always a step ahead of her foes. And her skills in manipulation make her a dangerous adversary even outside of combat, able to turn friends into foes and sow discord wherever she goes. But with these strengths come significant weaknesses. Talon's reliance on the dark side means that her powers are tied to her emotional state. The more she gives in to her anger and hatred, the more powerful she becomes. But it also makes her more volatile, more prone to mistakes, and more likely to be manipulated by others who understand her weaknesses. Additionally, while her speed and agility make her a formidable opponent, they also mean that she relies heavily on maintaining momentum in battle. If she's forced into a prolonged fight, or if an opponent can withstand her initial assault, she could find herself at a disadvantage. In the end, Darth Talon is a Sith Lord defined by her balance, or rather, her struggle to maintain it. She's a warrior who wields immense power, but that power comes at a cost. The very emotions that fuel her also threaten to undo her, and it's this constant battle that makes her such a compelling character. In her hands, the dark side is not just a weapon, but a double-edged sword, one that could just as easily destroy her as it could her enemies. Conclusion of the powers and abilities section, leading into her key story arcs and battles. Darth Talon's mastery of the dark side and her lethal combat skills have made her one of the most feared Sith Lords in the galaxy. But as she takes on more challenging missions and faces more powerful enemies, her strengths and weaknesses will be put to the ultimate test. Join us next as we dive into Talon's key story arcs and battles, exploring the epic confrontations that have defined her legacy and the enemies who have pushed her to her limits. Talon's mission to capture Cade Skywalker represented both a personal and strategic challenge. Her journey unfolded through relentless pursuit, intense battles, and a deep-seated loyalty to Darth Krayt. Talon's pursuit of Cade Skywalker. The hunt for Cade Skywalker took Talon to the furthest reaches of the galaxy, from neon-drenched urban sprawls to desolate, ancient worlds. Her pursuit was methodical and relentless. Each lead brought her closer, and each confrontation was a testament to Cade's elusive nature and formidable skills. The galaxy was a labyrinth of shadows and deceit, but Talon navigated it with the precision and ruthlessness that made her a feared figure. The Clash of Titans, their first major confrontation, was nothing short of epic. In the ruins of a forgotten temple, Talon and Cade faced each other. Talon's agility and refined lightsaber techniques clashed against Cade's raw power and mastery of the Force. The duel was a dramatic display of light and dark, with the environment crumbling around them under the force of their battle. Despite her skill, Cade's power proved overwhelming, and he narrowly escaped, leaving Talon both frustrated and more determined. Talon's other missions. While Talon's pursuit of Cade continued, she was also crucial to Darth Krayt's broader schemes. Her covert operations against the Galactic Alliance Remnant and the Empire in Exile, which consisted of former Imperial officers and soldiers who had broken away from Krayt's rule, were instrumental. Using her skills in stealth and deception, Talon infiltrated the Alliance's leadership, planting seeds of distrust and chaos that ultimately led to the Alliance's collapse. Her actions ensured that the Sith remained unchallenged, weakening any potential threats to Krayt's dominance. The final showdown. The final showdown between Talon and Cade took place in the heart of the Sith's power, the fortress on Coruscant. Cade, driven by a desire to end the Sith's reign and free himself from their influence, launched a daring assault on the fortress, seeking to confront Darth Krayt once and for all. But before he could reach Krayt, he had to face Talon one last time. This duel was the culmination of their long-standing rivalry, with both fighters drawing on everything they had learned from their previous encounters. Talon, fueled by her loyalty to Krayt and her hatred for the Jedi, fought with a ferocity that few could match. Cade, on the other hand, was driven by his determination to break free from the Sith's control and to finally accept his role as a Skywalker. The battle was fierce, with lightsabers clashing and force powers colliding in a spectacle of dark and light. Talon's speed and precision were countered by Cade's raw power and resilience. The two warriors were evenly matched, each pushing the other to their absolute limits. In the end, it was Cade's connection to the Force and his acceptance of his heritage that gave him the edge. With a final powerful strike, Cade defeated Talon, leaving her wounded and unable to continue the fight. Even in defeat, Talon remained defiant. Though she was unable to stop Cade, her loyalty to the Sith and Darth Krayt never wavered. She had given everything to the dark side, and even in her final moments, she remained a symbol of the Sith's relentless pursuit of power. Her defeat at Cade's hands marked the end of her story, but her legacy as one of the most formidable Sith Lords in the galaxy would endure.